Hello, welcome back. For me, it's been a little bit cleaned up, made sure there's no metal and crap anywhere. Magnetized off the mat after I wiped it down, just to be sure. Fresh caps, power supply's coming on, that's coming on, no smoke. All new caps. We should get a better screen. There we go. Much more crisp screen. The new 470s, one of these was totally dried out over here. That might have been causing some weird video issues, so I'll have to set that again. When I take all the caps out that control the clock, you lose your date and time. So I'm going to set the date and time again, turning it off from the power supply so it sucks the voltage right out of the wire. Alright, so we're going to check first the clock. January 16th, 3:45 and 40 seconds. Perfect. Audio. Perfect. We're good. Fresh goodies. I just want to test the graphics and the sound before I continue, because then we got some PiStorm stuff to do. And if you can recall how long it takes to load off of floppies. Stock 7 megahertz. It's gonna be chunky because that's what it is. So I would say that is a success, and we're going to continue. Okay, so I just let the owner of this board know what's going on, and there, so far, we're good. This package came with like 8,000 different things to look at, fix, check. Got a whole list. This is a 2091 with 2 megabytes on board. It has a SCSI hard drive, and I'm going to plug it in. I need to elevate the back of the board with this box because this tab hangs over. Just elevating the board a little bit to let it do its thing. Let's see what happens. Ooh, that drive sounds pleasurable. Oops, I guess I can take Frontier Elite 2 out of the drive. Quantum LP52S, one of my first drives. Don't know if it works, don't know if it boots. Know nothing about the contents of this drive. I'm just seeing if it works. It's chunking. It's making some noise. It's looking for DF0, which is fine. Remember, this is still in stock form. It's going to be yelling about the icon library. So I'm going to help that out. Because this is a 3.2 ROM, so it's going to need a 3.2 install disk or library, because this hard drive does not have that. No problem. We just put an ADF or your install disk in. She'll be doing some stuff. I don't know what this is. GVP phone pack maybe? Yeah, it's got a GVP phone pack card, so it's looking for some assigns that don't exist. It's not a problem. There you go, Amiga Workbench. Sales, service, Diskmaster, ParNet, Termite, service start. I don't know what was on here, but it works. I'm going to borrow this Diskmaster and I'm going to copy that icon library. That way this will boot on its own. We're also going to fix that phone pack. Okay, so I finally got the spacebar to stop. We're going to reboot this with those assigns fixed. Disk out, pure hard drive, Workbench, whatever it is. Now I have no keyboard again because the spacebar is not cooperating today. No problem. We're going to get an error about DF0 in a second. If DF0 was in, it would... Wow, yeah, it's Workbench 2. There we go. 2 megs of RAM, 1 meg of chip. Bob's your uncle. There's nothing major on this. It's a Quantum LP52S, 52 megabyte hard drive. Isn't that neat? Got the old ParNet in there. Cool. Diskmaster. Nothing major. Is there something in here that's calling? And it's all GVP phone pack, so I don't know what this was used for. But at least it's bootable now with the ROM that's in here. Number 2. Fixed. Didn't really do anything. Patched the library. Took a peek at it. So there is our GVP 209. She's not even a 2091. I think the silk screen either wasn't completed or whatever. 2091 version 6.6 ROMs. Neat. Super DMAC 02. Ooh, nice. Alright, so I'm going to wrap this back up This is the GVP impact. This is going to go into the CPU slot, like so. Amiga test kit. That's what I'm running. I don't know. So let's see what the CPU says. I have another disk with the, so we're 68030, bingo bango, memory, 8 megs on the board. Let's test the 8 megs. ROM checks out. Looking at what this card is, it's a Rev 4 Impact. 415 is the latest image you can get on the ROM on this one. It says Ralph Babel, SCSI ROM, 16K. This is 413, the latest being 415. I don't know if I want to take the risk and try to flash this ROM with the new one. It's working. There's nothing wrong with it, and it's working perfectly. It's not getting hot. Everything's working perfectly. This is a bootable sysinfo ADF. You can download yours from sysinfo.d0.se. I'm going to rearrange myself because this prison bracelet I don't need on right now. There we go. Kicked her off. All right, let's hit it. So here we are. This is the GVP 030. Hitting the speed button. See what we get. So there we go. That's a GVP 030 at 40 megahertz, which is what the crystal says. 6,438 drives in 6 MIPS and 1.1 megaflops. Not bad. No drives, of course. DF1, whatever. We're going to go to boards. GVP Series 2 SCSI. Bingo Chingo. 47.96 kickstart. We're going to fix that with a 3.2.1 kickstart. So let's get the GVP board out and packed back in its carcass. What a nice unit. This is a great board for your Amiga. If you have this board, keep it nice. It's a really great thing. Let me clean this up. The owner graciously gave me Footman as a thank you for doing this. So, thank you for this. I greatly appreciate it. Alright, PiStorm. Now, 2 ways you can run a PiStorm in an Amiga 2000. The CPU boards itself and or the socket. This is the user's Raspberry Pi 3A. The 68,000 does not need to be in there. This card that looks like a shark fin, it will tell you power supply side, Zorro side. So it's like this. It goes this way. Now, the 68,000 doesn't need to be in to do this. Oh, from a couple minutes later. The easiest way to test a PiStorm is with a working one. Here's a working one. This is my PiStorm, and it's working fine. I have heat sinks on it. This is a Pi02W. I'm going to put this on the user's PiStorm board. Why? Because I want to see if it works. So this is my PiStorm. I'm going to launch the PiStorm app to see what's going on. 35C. This is a 02W. Yeah. PiStorm works. RTG is not in use. Play some mods. Hopefully they don't suck. PiStorm. Alright, so as you can see, the PiStorm is functional with my Raspberry Pi. Why didn't I use the user's 3A with the massive card? Because I don't know the config on it. It's not on my Wi-Fi network. I can't find my stupid cable, and I don't know if it's set to auto run. So without it being on my Wi-Fi network, I can't sniff it to tell it into it. So what I'm going to have to do is the old-fashioned way, and that's hook the HDMI cable directly up to it and a keyboard off the USB to control the Pi side to configure it for my house and auto boot and just to see what's going on. We're going to remove my Raspberry Pi. I'm going to put the user's Pi on here. This is the longest booting PiStorm ever. I don't know where this image came from, but this is not a proper image. A proper PiStorm image would take 5 or 6 seconds to boot, as you saw mine. Just on the Linux side. This is way too many services that are not needed. Yeah. It's just getting the DHCP. I need to run raspi-config. Oh my gosh. 2 minutes and 12 seconds. Yeah, fail. Alright, great. Get off my wireless. Just need to be on here. Okay. Control, look at all this crap that's loading. No wonder it's taking forever to boot. That is way too much stuff loading, but okay, whatever. Nothing. It loaded, but it has no hard drives. Okay, so the PiStorm is booting. PiStorm worked. There's nothing on here. Or it's not loading, it's loading off a NAS or something. Hey, I'm still going. Got the user's ROM burned, tested, good to go. That's going back in the box. You saw we had the other cards tested, done, good to go. This image on this PiStorm was a little weird, so I contacted the user. Where's my power cord? And I asked him, do you have a backup of this? He said, yeah. And I said, good. Because I need to nuke it. I copied my image. There we go. PiStorm should auto-load the emulator on mine. Whoops, should automatically run. Oh, there it goes. As soon as I say that. Alright, guess it had to do an SD card check. So here is my image. This has a 3.2 ROM in it, but I'm using a 3.14, and I can do the 3.2. I just have to SFT it, P it over, and rename the kick and all that. The point is the PiStorm is functional. This is his card, 256. We'll just load Hippo Player and play some music mods. I always play this. It's Barilla. It works pretty good. So, PiStorm is functional. User's build was a little bit goofy. I don't know why. Just weird. Something was up with it. This is the one from my Amiga 1000. I was using this with my image for quite some time. Played around with the RTG, flipped the little cable back in here. Everything's working. Randomly pooping out after a while because it's running too hot. Hello for another day. As you can see, PiStorm is running. User's card in. Use my system image. I don't know what those weird things were. I'm rebooting. I don't know what the images included on this card were. They will mount in WinUAE, but they are not made for this. I don't know what's up, if they were created on WinUAE somehow and it just wasn't a pure RDB image. I don't know. Mine works. Mine came from a real Amiga, put on the PiStorm, and it works. I put it on this PiStorm. Hey, guess what? It works. So the PiStorm feature of this is done. We got the CPL deflashed. We have the heatsink put on. She was overheating quite a bit. And now it's running quite better. So as you can see, everything's working cool. I opened the Linux command prompt just to make sure all that stuff was working. Don't have the keyboard hooked up yet. Right now I'm in the CPU socket. We're going to shut this down properly by going PiStorm, running PiStorm, and saying shut down Pi. Okay, this will freeze the Amiga. We'll give this a second to finish doing its shutdown. Just waiting for disk activity to finish. Turning it off. Plug in your awesome accelerator here. Cool. This says Vampire. So as you can see here, we are sandwiched nice and good. I could really squish it, but it's okay. Both sides. Now, you're going to have some flex on this big Pi 3A. It's okay, just make sure you're flat. Some people have even put the mounts right here to help hold the force down. This goes in like this sharp bat wing thing to impale yourself. This power supply side is going to go this way. You're going to notice my 68,000 CPU is not in the slot because this is taking a while. And we're going to do HDMI 2, which will be the Linux screen, so I can see what it's doing, and then I can just press the button and flip her back to RGB-ish. But sometimes I have to let you know that this, when I do this, it doesn't always work right. Alright, so there's the Linux load on the HDMI box. PiStorms are picky, and they like their way of doing things, and that's it. Alright, so the CPU thread started, right? Partition is loaded. SSH is enabled. The PiSCSI device is on DH3. Let me see if I can flip and get my video. Sometimes I do. I can flip this back. There we go. Maybe I just wasn't giving it enough of I'm gonna flip it back. I don't know why it's just taking an extremely long time to boot. I have no lights, so I cannot see what it's doing. I personally don't like these CPU riser boards. I don't like them at all. I don't use one even for my Vampire because I had numerous problems with it due to all the extra length of pins to the CPU and personal preference. I am a slot dude. Stick her in the slot. As you can tell, this is not working. So is it a bad Pi Storm? Doesn't seem to be. Because when I flip to it, the Pi is booting and I can see it on the device itself. I'm going to SSH into it here and see what the frog is going on. Amiga reset is up, keyboard thread started, CPU thread started, OVL2, which means reset. Which means it's stuck in a reset. Why? It does not like this board at all. Not a nothing. What a turd. There's the Linux side. There's the pseudo Amiga side. Nada. So as you can see by this adapter board is a piece of crap, and it will not load the Pi Storm stuff from it. Why? I can see it booting the CPU when I plug in this magic here. So you can see here I have the pseudo Amiga side and I have the Linux side. The Linux side's working. Why does it A, look weird, and what's happening? It's not doing nothing. Well, I SSH'd in and it's just, I can run the emulator all day long. But it doesn't, it's just stuck in reset, OVL0. That's just stuck in reset over here. Well, that's not working to me. Shut it down properly so it shuts the file system down and turns itself off. I'm going to remove this whole board. Okay, one Pi Storm, one piece of crap Shark board. Okay, here's my CPU adapter. Notice a difference. It's lower, but this is a Kipper 2K for the Vampire. Board is in. This goes in this way. Sockets on the other side. This says facing Zoros, which this is, into the CPU socket. And you're going to notice this is a much closer board, if this works. And it also rotates mine, so my HDMI is on the top. Good and bad. Your case is usually pretty high. You'd be okay with an elbow. Front USB, back mounted SD card. I can clearly see the lights. Hit it. There's the Raspberry Pi. Once this starts booting, I'm going to flip it to the Amiga side automatically, just so I can keep tabs on it. I think it's these stupid riser cards. Okay, so there you go. There's the answer. My riser card, Kipper 2K, low profile. I don't have all these long runs because the Raspberry Pi needs to be right there. It doesn't need to be right there. It's got to be on it, close. You can't have all these long runs. You can't have a long GPIO extension to put your Pi in the other room and stick it in the freezer and have a cable run. No, it doesn't work that way. Doesn't say for a Pi Storm. It does say Vampire friendly, but that is a long run, plus the bus itself. That's a long run. I don't know if this is compatible. The Aranet Edu, if you're watching this, is this compatible with the Pi Storm on the Amiga 2000? 2018. This is an older one. Pi Storm wasn't out then, but you can see by the length of the lines on here, that's an additional haul. And it's also rotating it, because you're plugging it in this way and it's giving you this slot. Mine is direct. As you can see, it's working. So, again, I'm going to shut this down. Whoops. I'm going to shut this down with the Pi Storm utility itself. Shut down Pi. We know this works on my riser card. Shutting down Pi Storm. I'm waiting for the activity to stop on that, which it just did. I'm going to turn it off. Again, we're going to put this in, matching up the little notch, right? Notch to notch with this board. You just saw this boot in like Flynn. Nice and good thingy. Zorro side. So that's this side. This thing always hurts putting it in. There we go. As usual, we're going to watch the Raspberry Pi side. This is on this Batwing thing. You'll see the Raspberry Pi boot. And I'm going to flip it over to the Amiga side. Now this is a perfect idea. If you can get one that works, sometimes this doesn't work for me. If you can get one that works, this is your solution to a RGB to HDMI on a Raspberry Pi, and the original, Denise socket one, and the RTG graphics with this. So that's a good sign. Did I not have a good connector? I don't know. Let's see if this board works. This is the user's original AranaNet. Well, that's interesting. I'm gonna let it boot again. It's crashing on this riser board. And just so you know, I'm not the cause, or, hopefully I'm the solution to your problems, but I do this for free. So when you give me a list of things, yeah, look at this, to fix, I can troubleshoot with what I have compared to what you have. And I went right into the socket with originally numerous problems, so this is actually not working at all. I'm going to try to plug in this keyboard. Okay, so now the hard drive has failed. How does DHO have a software failure? So that's going to explain your problems. And once again, what we're going to do, I'm just going to shut it off. Okay? Live, I'm going to not edit this entire thing. This is off. I'm going to pull this out, undo the HDMI, remove the PiStorm from the shark fin while I impale my fingers to carefully pop it out. Yeah. Can you see all that? Yep. Alright. Shark fin. Anti-static bag. My PiStorm board. Find the top. Put mine in here. I need that light back on. So here's mine. She's a little loose fit, and she's had more insertions than J-Lo. So I'm going to put this in here, facing Zorro slots, HDMI in, and power button. That's the Raspberry Pi side booting. I'm going to press my switch thing to shoot her on over to the RTG. I will leave the camera panned on all this, and you'll get a little bit of the top monitor cut off because that's just as back as I can go. So it's still doing some Raspberry Pi stuff. I see it flickering and doing some magic. I don't know. This Pi 3 is really slow, I noticed. There's our flip for the Amiga emulator starting. And in a minute or so, hopefully, it doesn't maintain the Guru that I had on the previous one. Just said, nah. We're going to see what happens. I just saw it reboot. I am using the keyboard with the spacebar stuck down, so I'm sure that's not helping. Maybe I should unplug the keyboard. I will do that. I have not repaired the keyboard yet because I've been so busy with the other 8 things. And there you go. So you saw it live. You're going to watch the Omnibot clock the whole time. Nothing. Does this work? Yeah. Everything's going to be groovy. Hippo player. Play a mod. Yeah, I don't... Okay, whatever. I had my playlists. Volumes. System. Mod. All okay. Sound working. Video working. Now here's something cool about this switch box. I know this is getting long-winded. Watch this. So I'm going to go into, it's down here, System, Prefs, Screen Mode. We're going to put this in PiStorm, all the onions, 800 by 600, 32-bit. Crank the temperature up here. PAL. We're just going to say test, and I'm going to hit the switch here, and it'll flip it back over to the Pi graphics, and there is our RGB. Cool. Since RTG is disabled, we flip it back over to the 15 kilohertz side through that magical adapter, and then we can say use. I'll press this button again, boop, flips it over back to this adapter here on the Pi, and there is our high definition 1024 by 768 Workbench screen in all of its glorious colors. But here's the poo-poo. Unless you have sound plugged directly up the speakers, I'm running mine through that HDMI box back here. I'm not going to have any sound. It's just weird. I know it's because I have the HDMI audio running out and shooting some magic, but look, we're in the high-res laced and it works. I'm going to reset it to poo-poo resolution so the user can start with something that works. Yuck. And you saw this is a CPU riser board. That one, that shark tooth, this shark tooth thing does not work. This is a Edu Arana net dedicated to my family. Great. Hope your family likes that don't work. This may work for a Vampire. I don't know. This is not working for a Pi Storm. Okay? The shark thing, bread, use it, slice some bread. Cut some bread with it. I don't know. Get some money out of it. Who knows? See, girls? Bigger isn't always better. So, Pi Storm functioning. Is it my fault that the user's Pi doesn't like his adapter board? No. Does it work? Yes. This will then go back in this larger bag. Yay, the pile's getting lighter. So without that, I'm going to put the 68,000 back in. Here's the 68,000 slot. Remember, south side is the correct side. 68,000's in. The original Kickstart 3.2 is in. And I'm just going to turn it on. Okay, it works. Good. So there you go. Functioning Amiga 2000 recapped. Pi Storm board tested with the bread slicer here. That's going to go back in a bag, one of the 9,000 bags I have, and I will let the owner know. It works in the slot and with JLo here. Let me get this cleaned up and put back in its shell with its plastic membrane, and just give it a final, and this is done. Next will be the keyboard.